stories from the world of business are just so dramatic, they don't even seem real. This is one of them. It's a tale about a true genius, a visionary, who built this massive retail empire only to be kicked out of it and die flat broke. We're talking about Harry Selfridge, and this is the incredible story of how he lost his kingdom. If you've ever been to London, you've probably seen it. Right there in the heart of Oxford Street stands Selfridge's. And for more than 100 years, it hasn't just been a store, it really is a temple of shopping. But this palace, this symbol of success and glamour, was built by a man whose own life, well, it would eventually turn into a total nightmare.
Because that's the thing. Behind that glittering facade is a story of complete and utter collapse. This isn't just about a company. It's about the king who built this incredible kingdom, only to be exiled from it and to end his life with nothing.
So who was this guy? Well, it all kicks off with this incredibly ambitious American who shows up in London with a revolutionary idea. He was going to teach the British a whole new way to shop, and in the process, he'd make himself the king of Oxford Street. So back in 1909, Harry Selfridge throws open the doors to his grand department store. And you gotta understand, before him, shopping was kind of a chore. He turned it into a spectacle, an event. He was the first to put merchandise right out on display where you could actually touch it and see it, and boy, did it work. By the 1920s, his success was off the charts. He was a billionaire, a huge celebrity, a true retail emperor. But, and you know there's always a but, at the absolute peak of his power, the very personality that made him so successful, that flair for the dramatic, his love of taking huge risks, that started to plant the seeds of his own destruction. His was an empire built on excess, and that same excess was about to start eating away at his fortune. The whole thing just started to crumble from the inside. His personal spending was out of this world, funding this unbelievable lifestyle. Then you add in some very high-stakes gambling, a string of incredibly expensive affairs, and pretty soon, the debts just started to spiral, completely out of control. The king was losing his grip. And eventually, something had to give. The man who built one of London's most iconic landmarks from absolutely nothing was about to face the ultimate humiliation. He was about to be exiled from his very own kingdom. It all came to a head in 1941. The debts were piling up, his control was slipping away, and the board of directors, well, they made a decision that must have felt like a punch to the gut. They fired Harry Selfridge, the founder, the man whose name was on the building, was just cast out. The scale of his fall is just staggering. I mean, think about it. One minute you're a retail emperor, a billionaire, a global celebrity living this lavish lifestyle. The next, you're fired, bankrupt, living on a tiny pension in a small, modest apartment. For Selfridge, this wasn't just losing money, it was losing his entire identity. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, what's maybe the most heartbreaking part of it all was still to come. In his final years, Selfridge started this daily ritual, a kind of quiet, solemn pilgrimage back to the paradise that he had built and that he had lost. For the last 7 years of his life, this routine was everything. It was this journey that was fueled by a love for what he created that just never went away, even after it was all taken from him. It was a daily, painful reminder of his greatest achievement and his biggest failure. So his final years looked like this. Every day, he'd take the bus from his little apartment, and he wasn't going shopping. He would just get off, stand on the pavement across the street, and stare. He'd just gaze at the glittering displays and his own name written in gold up on the building. He never, ever went inside. He would just watch for a while and then quietly get the bus back home. Someone once put it perfectly. It was as if he was a king, visiting the kingdom from which he was expelled. Can you imagine? A ghost, just haunting the monument to his own past glory. He couldn't stay away, but he could never be a part of it again. And this daily ritual, it just kept going, right until the very end. The last chapter of his life was so quiet, almost forgotten. It's such a stark contrast to the noise and the spectacle and the glamour that he created when he was at his peak. On May 8, 1947, Harry Selfridge passed away from bronchial pneumonia in that same modest apartment. The man who once ruled the world of retail died completely bankrupt, and by that point, had been mostly forgotten by the very public that was still shopping in the palace that had his name on it. But for all that tragedy at the end, his legacy is just undeniable. Harry Selfridge didn't just build a store.
He created a whole new culture. He taught us a new way to shop, a new way to want things, and a new way to dream. So many of his ideas are still right at the heart of the retail experience we all have today.
So his story really leaves us with this one kind of unsettling question. The same incredible passion that built his empire is the very thing that destroyed him. So it makes you wonder, where is that line between a magnificent dream and a destructive obsession?